Hello and welcome! In this video I will show you how to replace the rear sway bar bushings on a 2001 Ford Focus. You should always begin by spraying the bolts with some WD-40. After this I used a metric 13 spanner and a 13 socket with a wrench to unbolt the old bushing. Now, because these old bushings weren't changed since the car was made, they were a bit stuck. The WD-40 didn't help much in the process, so I got thinking, how the hell can I undo these? Also, I would like to mention that I used a 14 spanner because I forgot my 13 at home, because I put it somewhere and then I didn't find it. Back to the topic at hand. How am I going to undo these stupid old bushings? So I kind of managed to undo them halfway through, kind of, and after that I thought I going to cut them off with a flex, aka angle grinder. Just I like to call it flex because like everybody around here calls it flex. I proceeded undoing the knot as much as I can, and after this I borrowed the angle grinder from a friend and proceeded to cut the stupid bolt off. Now, an important thing here, try not to cut in the important suspension parts of the car, because if you damage those, your suspension, and not just suspension, like the whole assembly might break when you're cornering or something like that. Another important thing worth mentioning, I used eye protection because the sparks were flying everywhere. Also they were flying in my eyes, that's why the eye protection was really useful. If you were paying attention, you can see that I'm cutting a bit into a bolt and then turning it and then cutting a bit more into a bolt. I did this because I couldn't fit the angle grinder in there, just how the suspension parts were made, and the disc or cutting edge, whatever do you want to call it, on the angle grinder wasn't big enough, so it wasn't able to cut through the whole bolt, and that's why I had to cut, turn it, cut, and doing this again and again. This whole process took me about 5 or 10 minutes for one of the bolts, because of course there are two of them, one for each tire or wheel, or one on each side. Over here I had to cut a bit more out of that screw because it wasn't breaking. What the hell kind of super metal was that thing made out of? Finally I was able to cut through the bolt, and over here you can see I am taking whatever was left of the nut with a pair of pliers. Always be careful because some parts might be hot after cutting them with an angle grinder. Oh. Here you can see the middle part of the bushing, the old one of course. This pretty much spaces the anti-sway bar from the suspension part. Here is the other side also. So I was an idiot because I took that one out. It is way easier if you leave the other side in while you put the new one on. Oh well. So here is the new pair of bushings. It's a pair of Lemverder. You can pull the anti-sway bar down by hand. It's kind of hard, that's why I said it's a better idea just to leave the old bushing in place while you change the other side first. On the other hand, you can use some elbow grease that helps with the procedure. After the middle part of the bushing is in place, I fed the screw through and tried to put the knot on. Of course the screw fell out, I had to put it back again, and here's the nut. It's a auto-locking nut. Also try not to tighten the bushing because you need to change the other side first. After that you can tighten both at the same time. Voila. Don't forget the head of the screw is down and the nut is upward for some reason. This is how the factory bushings were on, so I didn't change anything. Here I tighten them a little bit just so they have a minimal grip. After that I proceed to change the other one. If you have both bushings in place with the screws and the nuts and everything, you can torque them down to 50 newton meters, or this is the non-professional way, until you pull the up and lower rubber part just a bit in. Don't over tighten the screws, because then they won't work as they should. Also remember, these auto locking nuts, they won't fall out because they have that Teflon thingy that holds them in place in case of vibrations. Now I'd like to show you the original position of these rear bushing thingies for the anti-sway bar. As you can see, they're over there. Hopefully it's not too shaky because I'm holding this in my hand. And this is how they would sit. Yeah. You should tighten these to 15 newton meters. I'll tighten them home. I'm pretty sure they won't fall off because they have those thread locking nuts. Anyhow, this is how they looked pretty much when I had the original ones.